Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 23rd of May, 2016, and this is episode 180, All the Socks for Me. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How was your week? Mine was pretty good. This coming week is the last week of school, so it's kind of exciting, and it only goes until Wednesday. So all of my time is about to be invaded, which is kind of interesting. Gabriel didn't have school on Tuesday, so I have a little taste of what summer is going to probably be like, which is a little stressful because they were just on each other all day. Oh, we'll figure it out. It'll take a couple weeks, but we'll get in a routine. It'll be okay. Try not to freak out too much about what's going to happen, but anyway, my first night off of the week was last night, and I did so much stuff that was like knitting adjacent. So I mended a sock, my zipper lexicon socks, where you join the sock, where you join the hexagons together, because they're made modularly and you pick up. You can kind of see there's a little bit of stress on this join right here, which I didn't fix because I'm not that worried about it. But one join was almost worn through, so I fixed that. And then there was a place where the yarn was wearing through, so I fixed that. On my mitered square blanket, there were 3 squares that had holes in them, so I fixed that. And I was just like, what can I do that's knitting related that's not knitting? Because I just didn't really want to knit or crochet. But I still wanted to be crafty, so I fixed some things. On to actual stuff instead of just babbling, because I could babble for a really long time. It feels like one of those days, so there's probably going to be lots of tangents. All the small things knit along is going awesome, and you guys are kicking butt, and it's super exciting and super inspiring for me. So I'm going to pull another prize out of this little jar, which I'll have to move into something bigger next month, I'm sure. But okay, so here we go. Nothing's pre-picked, just digging towards the bottom-ish, pulling out a slip, and let's see who won a prize this week. It is Q Mama Shelly for post number 40, and she made a mitered square. So Shelly, get in touch. Let me know what prize you want, and be sure to look in the prize thread because I updated it. Well, future me has updated it by the time this goes up. I have a finished object this week. Well, they're 2 finished objects, but they're 1 project. So I finished my Rose City rollers, and this is where sock 1 was last week. So I did all this, and then there's a stitch marker for sock 2. I worked these in tandem on 9-inch circulars, US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. The yarn is Where's the Kaboom for the main color. The heels are done in Leading Men Fiber Arts. Where's the Kaboom is Color Me Twisted. The purple is Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper in Royalty. The toes are Pagewood Farm Denali Sock in Marine Girl. I did I didn't even say, oh my gosh, I'm scattered. Rose City Rollers by Mara Catherine Brenner, and I will definitely be making more of these socks because it's just such a simple pattern. I don't even actually read the pattern. I made the pattern one time kind of following the instructions, and now I'm just like, ooh, I just like the idea. So you cast on, you knit, you don't do ribbing on the cuff, it rolls down. And then I did an Eye of Partridge heel with garter stitch edge, which makes the pickup really, really neat, I think. Neater than on a regular no ditch sort of pickup, no selvage edge, however you want to say. It's worked on 60 stitches. yeah, I'm really excited. And these are my Christmas socks for myself because I always make everybody else Christmas socks and then don't have any for me. But these match the Christmas socks that I made for my kids. So I will have matching Christmas socks to my kids because everybody needs that, right? Obviously. I didn't finish anything else, but I started some new things. Yay! The first new thing is a very small thing. This is going to be a Christmas tree cross stitch. This is a little hobby craft kit. It comes with needle and the floss and the Ada fabric, which is 14 count, and fully charted instructions. So could you see the instructions when I was reading that? Don't steal it. So the picture is actual size. So that's what it's going to look like when it's finished. And it should be a really quick stitch. And you know, if I started this, that means that I only have one color left on my Care Bear cross stitch. So here is the little guy, so cute. And I know it's hard to see the progress of the cloud, so I'll insert a picture. I just have a very, very small section to go. Maybe 3 days worth of cross stitching, but probably not even that much. So yeah, this will be finished next week. Not fully finished because I don't know where it's going to go in life. It's just going to go sit in a bin of finished things to give away someday, which I don't actually have that many things. Like, I do. I have a lot of finished objects waiting to be given away, but waiting with intent. There are very few finished objects that I have that I'm just like, I made that. Now it's just going to sit there. Because I have a really hard time with that whole concept. Like, I need what I'm working on to have a purpose. So it needs to have somewhere that it wants to go when it's finished. And this project did have a purpose and now it doesn't. So I'm still finishing it. But I don't know. It's weird to have just made something just to make it, kind of. It'll be fine. I'll put it in a bin. I'll pull it out next time someone has a small human that they are bringing into the world. That is my thought anyway. Stitch a name, like have a little birth announcement thingy sort of thing. Does that make sense? I can't remember what they're called right now. But you know what I mean. The cross stitch with the name and birth date on it. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you've seen it. Or not it, but seen something like it. I worked on my Stitch Punk fiber, which is merino in the colorway Bubble Wrap, and it is so beautiful. It's such a nice spin, even though I've had the fiber for a very long time and it's been through a move and it's been rearranged in this craft room several times and been stepped on by Mara lots of times. It's not very compacted. It's drafting beautifully. Inserting a picture here so you can see the progress. I'm hoping to finish that by the end of the month. We'll see. I don't have very much left. Here, I'll break off the fiber from the project. It's really not that much. So here's the braid portion, and here's the part that I've pulled out. If I do 3 little sections every day, which is super easy to do, and I usually do more when I sit down and spin. If I do 3 of those a day, I will finish spinning by the 29th, which means it can rest the 30th and I can ply on the 31st. So it's totally doable. And I'll more than likely spin more of that per day. I just have to do it. I also worked on the String Band by Stephen West, which I am modifying just a little bit to add these little lacy parts to it. And I had added the first lacy part last week, so I was right here, and I've made that much progress, which is not great, but not terrible. It's a gift for my best friend, Becca. The yarn is, purple is Premier Serenity Sock in probably a purple stripes colorway. I keep meaning to look it up and then I don't. And then the white is Loops and Threads Wool-like in Ivory. I think that the striping is looking really nice. My hair is looking not so nice. Whatever. That's what happens when you put hats on your head on your podcast. I'm using US size 3 for the body, which is 3.25 millimeter needles. I used US 1 2.25 millimeter for the, what is this, ribbing portion. I have words, I promise. And I am a little over a third of the way done with the striping section of the hat. So if I work diligently on this hat, which I will do because I really want this done by the end of the month also, and it's getting close. Next podcast will be the last podcast recorded in May, so I need to have some finished things, right? If I work diligently, this should be an easy, the body portion should be finished, like the striping section should be finished by next week, which means I'll only have 2 sections to go. So yeah, I need to work on this. I think I just need to sit and read with that because it's just a garter stitch, so it's kind of boring. It's not its fault it's boring. It's just kind of boring. I just don't love garter stitch. But it's pretty, and she specifically, well, she didn't specifically ask for that hat. She said, would you make me a hat, like a slouchy one, like the one that you have with buttons? So that's my string band. And I was like, yeah. So I could have picked a different slouchy hat, but since she specifically liked the ones with buttons, decided to make string band for her. I worked on Cecilia's socks, which I think I had just started last week. I think I was just through, or maybe not even through, this green part of the toe. So there's a blue and then a green. So I made okay progress. Not great, but not terrible. 5 rounds a day, just to make sure that it grows. I'm using a stitch marker from Judy. Love it. It's the one with the H on it. The yarn is Souls and More by Sensations Yarn, and I don't know what the colorway is, but it's in the show notes. So if you want to know what it is, go check out the show notes. I did not think that I was going to like the way these knit up particularly because it's pretty pastel. You know, it's like super girly, but I actually really, really love these. Not enough to make a pair of socks for myself, but just watching the color progression, I'm like, oh, so pretty, so perfect. It's kind of, it reminds me of a little bit some opal yarns and the Arne and Carlos. Is that opal or is that right? Yeah. I don't know. But it's that sort of thing where it's self-striping, self-patterning. I am making these a 56 or 52. I think 52 stitch count socks. 56 sounds a little big for small human feet. So 52 stitch socks. The yarns are, I didn't try matching them up. I just had a partial skein and then a full skein. So I used full skein on one side, partial skein on the other. I will just join the partial skein to the outside of the ball when I start, because they're striping in opposite directions and they don't meet up anyway. So it doesn't really matter. So since they're striping in opposite directions, that's perfect to work from the outside of the ball anyway. And I'll try to get the colors to line up so it's not a jarring stripe, but I don't really think it matters when the color repeat is this long. I think I'm just about to restart the color repeat. It's what it looks like because I'm starting blue here, so I think it's probably going to restart. That's a pretty long color repeat. I'm enjoying these. I really like my child tube sock recipe pattern, whatever. It's just a really, really good, and it's a really good Christmas knit for the kids. Until their feet stop growing, they don't get real socks. I just can't. Unless I find a pattern that I super love, and then I'll take it back. I also worked on my steampunkery socks. So that shows the progress. Lovely cabley goodness. I am almost finished, but not quite finished with the gusset. So I will definitely finish the gusset this week. And then it'll be so close to having a finished sock. Because let's see, here is how far it is on my hand. You know, that's my measurement for where to put in the toe. So it's about halfway until the toe. About. The yarn is 716 knit, 716 sock in the Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned for Sega colorway, which is so pretty. I really do think that this should be a sweater with the buttons and the cute everything. I love it. I'm super pleased that I picked this yarn to go with this pattern because it's speckly, so the yarn is fun, but it's not so speckly that the cables lose their definition. All socks are knit on US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles, just so you know. Unless I specifically say otherwise, that's what I knit all of my socks on. And speaking of socks, I started a new pair for me because apparently when I finish a pair of socks for myself this year, I need to start a new pair, and having one on the needles is not enough. Who am I? I'm normally such a, I don't want to say unselfish knitter, but like I very rarely go on these kicks where I make a whole bunch of things for me, and this is the 4th pair of socks for myself this year that I'll be working on. That's right. Yeah, because I made the 1st quarter socks. I'm working on 2nd quarter socks. I just made Christmas socks, and now I'm making some Franken socks. So these Franken socks are going to be made with yarn from Haley. If you watched my January sometime episode of Christmas gifts, I think it was January, Haley sent me a bunch of stuff, which was awesome, including a lot of mini skeins of yarn. But they're not really mini skeins. They're leftover balls of yarn, like this much yarn. That's a lot of yarn. So I'm making modular pieces out of the yarn, but I'm also making some socks. So here's what we got. I'm working them in tandem again on my 9-inch circulars, and the toes are made from whatever this yarn is, which I don't know what it is, but there we go. We have toes. And then the next section is going to be made out of this yarn, which Haley thinks is Souls and More. No, Heart and Soul. Red Heart, Heart and Soul. Yeah, that one. Which is super, super pretty. I'm excited for it. I'm thinking that I'm going to do about 10 rounds of each color. But if I get to a section of the yarn where I'm like, I don't like that so much, I'll cut it early, or if I really, really like the yarn, I'll go longer. But that's my tentative plan. And I know a lot of people are just making Franken socks where they do each sock differently, not the same yarn, totally different. And I don't like that. I'm just going to throw it out there. I look at them and I'm like, I know that mismatched socks are super in right now, and like I don't care if stripes match up when I'm making self-striping socks, and I don't mind if flashing is different in variegated yarns when I'm knitting socks, but something about like having different widths of chunks of yarn and having wildly different colors is just completely unappealing in socks for me. I would make those types of socks for someone else. If someone else wanted them, like if my best friend was like, you know what, I just want you to use random sock yarns, just go to town, make them completely mismatched, I would make them for her because she would wear them. But I feel like I would look at them in the drawer and just be like, mm-mm. So even though these are going to be, they're not going to be matching because obviously the stripe goes different here on the toe, but they're going to be very, very similar, I think, overall in general. I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to do completely random socks, but I really wanted Franken socks. Everybody is making them right now, and I've been resisting because I don't like to do what everyone else is doing. First of all, I don't want the podcast to be boring. I don't want you to be like, oh, another pair of Franken socks, really. But I also was like, oh, I don't need to make another pair of socks for myself. And then I totally blame Tracy because she posted the most gorgeous pair of knee-high Franken socks in the Small Things Knit Along thread. So then I was like, well, now I have to make them. I just have to. I was resisting. I was doing really well. And then she posted them and I was like, yep, I'm making them right now. So here are my Franken socks started. I don't have a timeline for that. I don't have a deadline. I will just knit on them as I feel like it. I feel like they're probably going to be knit up pretty quickly, relatively, because it's just exciting. And I really, really, really like the yarns that Haley sent me for Christmas. For the most part, I mean, I don't love all of them, but for the most part, I like them a lot. And so far, I haven't looked at the yarn. I've just reached my hand into the box, under the coloring books, under the things, and pulled out the next color of yarn that my hand reaches. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, if I don't like the next color, I'll just put it back in the box and pull out a different color and use that instead because I can, and I don't have any rules for it. It being the project. I say it a lot instead of saying specific things, and I feel like that is not very good for a podcast where you can't read my mind. I worked on the advent calendar a little more also, so I think that the hoop was here last week. I don't know how much of this was filled in, but all of the red portion, I'll probably put another one right here in the corner, and then I just have this area right here to do. So a third or so of the hoop to go. Making progress on that. And I also made progress on, so I did knitting last night. That was not really knitting. I made progress on the garland that I was working on, whatever. Poor English, sorry. So I did 3 beads on this side, and they're all scraps of worsted weight yarn. This is yellow red heart. This is the canopy colorway from Knit Picks that I used to make my sweater. I can't remember what the sweater is called, but you know, the green one that's made out in a circle. This is Red Heart Super Saver in, I don't know, Black Light or something. This is also that colorway, just a different section. This yarn, I don't remember what it is. I used it to make the mushroom hat for someone at work, and this is Red Heart Super Saver in Pumpkin. So I made 6 little beads, which is good, decent progress. I only need to make 5 more to have my New Year's resolution part finished for that garland. So I can do that this week sometime. Those beads don't take super long, and I have a cat who is now going to be tortured with all the pets because he decided he needed to walk onto all of my things while I was recording, and he should know better. Hi, I love you. He has allergies. Can you hear him with his sighing and sneezing? What else? Modular projects. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to show you. Now I have a cat in my nose. Excuse me. Modular projects. I did so well this week. I told you that the small things thread was really, really inspiring. And it was. So I made square number 73 and 74 for my barn raising squares. This is the yarn that I'm putting onto the Frankensock right now. I don't think I'm going to put in any of the orange, so once I get to a part where it's getting orange, that's going to be my stopping point if I don't stop sooner than that. But look at how pretty that yarn is. I love the pink and the green. I love pink and green together so, so much. So I'm excited for the Frankensock, and I really like this square. And the other square is 716 knit, 716 sock in the If the Apocalypse Comes Beep Me colorway, which was the colorway from the first ZK. Super pretty. Love that. I did 2 squares on my miter square blanket. One is Beep Me again, and the other is the same yarn from Haley in the with the pink and the green, and then this kind of orangey color that I don't love but will look nice in my blanket because this is again a blue and green predominant blanket. Like those colors have to be in the squares, and then the other colors are just kind of nice little blips to give the eye a break or something to, or not even a break, something else to focus on. So I am up to 31 squares on this blanket. Yay, progress on the blanket. I've only been doing 1 square a week-ish on this, so it's going to be a really long-term project. And for the barn raising square, I think that I want 216. I don't know if that's correct, if that's what I did the math for, but that sounds correct right now. So I'm getting close-ish to the halfway point. Oh, cat. And then I also did pretty well on making hexapuffs. I made 10 of them this week. And here's that yarn again. 1 celebratory, 1 non-celebratory. See, look at that orange. I don't love the orange, but I love every other color in the yarn. I hate when that happens. So yeah, those, but they're still pretty and they look great in hexapuffs. I don't hate the orange in the yarn. I hate the orange for me in the yarn. Does that make sense? Like in this, it looks fine. It'll be a great little hexapuff. Very fun. This is another Haley yarn, which you'll see more of next week. It's really pretty. It's celebratory on that side, so I'll show you the smooth side. It's got progressive stripiness. This is also a Haley yarn that will be showing up a lot next week probably. And then these are leftover scrappy bits from other things. I made my sister some socks out of this. It was mystery socks that Melissa Transtrom put out. I don't remember what they're called, but she made those. This is 3 different scrappy bits of yarn. I can't remember what the top one is, but this is Nooch Fiber in the colorway Princess, and this is Happy Feet, Plymouth Yarn Company Happy Feet. And this yarn right here, I made my 2nd ever pair of socks out of. So yeah, that's a really, really old scrap, and I don't even know how it's been around this long, like how it made it through, but now it's used up. These are just little scraps that I've had around. This is 2 different scraps. This one's a Croy and this is a ZK yarn. And then I made socks on a plane out of this yarn. So yeah, 10. That brings me up to 546. which is super exciting. And I'm really, really proud of myself. I knew that I had made one per day, and then I was like, oh, maybe I made like 8 or something. And then to have made 10 is really exciting. I'm really, really, really pleased with that because this blanket is going to take a bajillion hexapuffs, and I stall out on it a lot. I don't know why. It's not like hexapuffs are hard to make. They're really, really quick, maybe like half hour, maybe 45 minutes. I don't know. I've never actually timed it, but they're really, really quick. I just need to do them. I think the problem is getting them cast on and started and then working on them, as everything is basically in my life. I just hate starting things. If I had like 10 sets of size 3 needles, I would just cast on a bajillion hexapuffs so that I could just keep going. Like cast on and get through the first set of increases. And then I would be fine. And then I would make a bajillion hexapuffs. Anyway, I have a new thing to show you this week. It is really, really exciting. It is from Lorraine. She went to Maryland Sheep and Wool, and she brought me back a present. It is a spindle from John Galen, and it is gorgeous. Look at this. It is a Tockley style spindle, I think is how you say it. It's a supported spindle. It's got a little hook at the top to catch the fiber, and it's made for like linen and cotton and really, really slippy or short staple fibers, and it spins beautifully. And it's just really pretty to look at. It would stay spinning longer if it was, on a bowl and not on my hand, because that's not made for spinning really. Too much drag. But look at that. It's so pretty. I'll put in a picture so you can actually see that bead. Just so pretty. She said she saw it and thought of me immediately and had to get it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Look at that. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I do actually have some silk that I want to spin, so I might try spinning it on that spindle eventually. I'm a little intimidated by that spindle right now, honestly, so it probably won't get anything put on it immediately, but hopefully by the end of the year. It's just really intimidating. It's a new style of spindle. Not really. I mean, I've done supported before, but it's totally different from the supported spindle I already have. So it's kind of a whole new thing, and I'm pretty intimidated. I also got a cone of cotton yarn because I had a 50% off coupon for Joann's, and the market bag that I'm making, which I worked on a little, but not enough to really show you, is going to take up the rest of this cone, I'm pretty sure. So I needed a new cone so I can make the other project bag. And then Steve's mom and Steve's aunt can fight amongst themselves over who gets which one. Okay, so all I have left is what I'm reading. I'm still listening to Deadbeat. I'm only on track 7 of 43. I feel like I listened to it more than that, but apparently not. I don't know. Because I was listening to Deadbeat last week, right? I really thought that I spent more time listening to the audiobook. Guess not. I finished reading Twilight, so I started reading another book instead of finishing the book that I had started, which was Poison Fruit. I think that one just needs to go in hibernation for a little while. It's a really good story. I really want to read it, but I'm having the problem where it's the last book in the trilogy, and once I read it, it's going to be gone. And what is my hair doing? I've been messing with my hair a lot this episode. Sorry, guys. yeah, I think it's just going to be set aside and I'll go back to it in a couple books. I think the problem is that I'm listening to Dresden Files, which is urban fantasy, and trying to read that. They're just too similar. I think that's the problem. So I'll either have to take a break from Dresden Files or just wait a little while longer before reading Poison Fruit. So I started another book, which it's funny that I said all that because this is also kind of urban fantasy, but it's super, super gritty. I started reading Sunglasses After Dark. So this is a collection, Sonia Blue collection, and it's 3 books, Sunglasses After Dark, In the Blood, and Painted Black. Blood In, Blood Out is a different book. I just got distracted by myself. By Nancy A. Collins. I have been passively looking for these books for a long time. Whenever I move to a new place, I see if the library has them, and they never do, which is sad. And whenever I go to a bookstore, I look and see if they have her stuff on the shelf, and they never do, which is really, really sad. So this is horror. It's classified as a horror book, and it is urban fantasy. It's a vampire book. Sonia Blue is a vampire. And it's very, very dark. There is a company called White Wolf, and they have World of Darkness as a role-playing setting, campaign thing, which is the overall world for all of their games, like campaigns. I know all these words and I can't think of them right now. Anyway, Sonia fits into like old World of Darkness, like Vampire the Masquerade sort of thing. There's a book in the series that I haven't read yet where she meets up with World of Darkness werewolves. I'm really, really excited to get there, but it's book 4 or 5. So I have to make it through all of these first. And it's been a really long time since I've read these books. Like high school, long time. Maybe freshman year of college. I love Sonia Blue so, so much. She is insane and very independent, and she kicks a lot of butt. But I've said multiple times now that this is really gritty and really dark. This is not age appropriate for most high school students, I would say. I read things that most people would deem wildly inappropriate age-wise when I was younger, but I also started reading when I was really, really little. And I've always been like 40 years old, basically. So whatever. There is a lot of sensitive subject matter in this book. There's some rape. There are scenes in insane asylums and in Nazi Germany and frenzies, like vampires going into frenzies. And yeah, it's graphic and gritty, and I really, really enjoy it, but would not recommend it to everybody. But if you like horror and you like vampires, see if you can find the Sonia Blue collection. I am really, really enjoying it. I'm reading it at night before bed, which is, super great. I read until the part where I get too freaked out, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now. Luckily, I don't have nightmares induced by what I'm reading. Otherwise, this would be very, very poor planning on my part. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm on page 96 of 186, so about halfway through the first book in here. And yeah, I'm really, really enjoying, I would say enjoying this read, even though it's like subject matter that is not enjoyable. I just really, really like Sonia Blue. I like her character. I like how hard it is. I like how being a vampire for her is not an easy breezy thing. It's a struggle all the time. And it's just really, really good. There are really cool settings that I don't want to talk about because if people haven't read them, then it'll all be spoilers. Anyway, just go check out. Find it. See if you can find this. And I'll talk about it more next week because I'll have finished the first book. And then I have 5 books total in that series. 5? Is that right? No, more than 5. 6 maybe in that series to read. I'm still listening to Sense and Sensibility, which I think is actually due back at the library today. I need to go renew that because I still have 3 discs to go. Although I think I'm on disc 6 and I think I'm on track 22 out of 23. So about 2 discs to go. It's okay. I don't love reading classics. That's not where my reading heart is. But I feel every once in a while that I should read them. Like, I feel obligated to read the classics every once in a while. So that's why I'm listening to Sense and Sensibility. Yeah, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week, which will be right after my birthday. So see you then. Bye.